I want to show you my proposed plan
That's what we're going to do for my birthday.
for the movie and book.
Okay, can't wait to hear it.
This is...
Got it? There you go.
Okay, I'll go back. My argument is I'm continuing the story of roots.
In the sense that we're all looking for roots, or what do you
Well, I brought this book for you to understand what I'm talking about.
mean? The Black Rose, that's a great book. What an amazing author Tananarive do.
That's right. That's right. I'm continuing the story of roots. The third generation.
You know what I think happened?
What?
I think the generation after civil rights,
You got it. You got it.
believing that their parents had brought the walls tumbling down,
Uh-huh.
and believing
Uh-huh.
that proper English and an education would change everything,
Uh-huh.
became less active,
Uh-huh.
and have left the burden for the third generation.
That's right.
That's my theory.
You got it, sweetheart. You got it exactly. Lottie Powell, Sears, Houston, and Lucille Stewart Graham Ransom.
Got it.
That's right.
Okay.
Because Lucille Stewart is the connection to who?
Oh, Lyle Station.
Adabel
Adeline Barefoot.
Adeline Barefoot and Stewart.
I don't know who Stewart is. Oh, I've heard
The
of
niggas. Excuse me, man.
Thank you. And hot sauce and ketchup?
No, not for me.
I need some butter for my get in the public school system here in America. It's going to be watered down. I'll think about it.
Your middle name is Conspiracy.
I'm trying to get to the truth, man. She lives.
You ever gonna get there?
You got to. You got to.
Dad's anniversary and MLK Day. Because honestly, it's all intertwined. Also, connected to our trip to India, we thought you would love to have and follow Gandhi's Wheel of Life. It's it's elucidation of principles of Gandhi's Satyagraha, which I don't know what that means.
Good. I can
But
use
basically, his wheel of life is divided into love, knowledge, food, and strength.
Food and strength.
And under love, relating to the anniversary.
No, but food includes what?
Well, she's talking about love now. We'll get to food.
Under love, Dad, under love,
right.
The next ring is sociology. And the next ring is uplift of women, which is what you've been talking about a lot.
That's
of,
right.
Okay?
Sociology,
And also-
not socialism.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
And as part of love, it's a casteless society. So under knowledge, the art of teaching, which is what you did yesterday.
That's right.
And the love of mother tongue, and some words I can't read because they're in. Okay, and propagation of Hindi. Okay, under economics, no, under food, that is economics. Village development.
All right.
Equality.
Okay.
And Kadi, which all, I guess, means similar things. So, Dad, it's very much, this is like our Kwanzaa celebration.
It sure is. I'm going to put it somewhere.
Watch his cane, watch his cane. Wait, Dad.
You can dance with the cane. Or not.
Did you take my picture while I was walking?
That was dancing. Yes, I did.
All right.
Supreme Court arguments now behind him. Marshall and his LDF lawyers return to New York and to their work on the Groveland appeal, which Franklin Williams would be arguing before the Florida Supreme Court with Alex Agnew. Williams, though, was not eager to visit the orange groves and white crackers of Central Florida. By the spring of 1950, he had developed a taste for arguing segregation cases in the U.S. Supreme Court. Cases that, in Williams' view, stood at the forefront of the nation's growing civil rights movement. With the taste came ambition. 1 year earlier, Williams would have...
Yeah!
Is that how you walk?
No. I
Don't
don't
show off for the
I
camera.
don't want to walk like an old man.
This is supposed to be authentic.
Authentic my foot.
Possible rescue. We're in PG 13 in 3D and IMAX 3D. Right.
I joined 14 online dating sites.
14? Is one of them eHarmony?
I don't have time. Donald Trump was going to attend, and after he made his initial offense.
So it's January 28th, 2016, and we are on our way to Marianna, Florida.
With my father, attorney John Doe Jr.
Well, by that time, everybody will know that you're the one. Here's a selfie.
Mm-hmm.
There we are.
That's right.
Off we go.
That's right.
Herbert S. Phillips, the U.S. Attorney in Tampa, that there is substantial evidence that the victims were beaten and tortured.
We're at the gazebo in downtown Marianna.
Okay.
And we're talking about the Dozier School.
So that's what. See, my grandmother told me that her grandmother was Cherokee, and ever since I've been working in North Florida, I've been wearing this thing.
Adeline Barefoot.
Yeah, Adeline Barefoot.
If this was this was back when they were still doing ugly things.
Yes.
Man, this was in the 50s. This was doing the same thing.
Yeah, no,
Wait a minute.
I had no clue what was
You
going
didn't
on.
even know what was going on because number one, and so young, you didn't have something to be.
That's
He was from
right.
Indiana. He was from Indiana. He didn't know any better.
Look here, you talking about in the 50s, this was right about the time when Harry T. Moe didn't do no more than what
That's
he
right.
did.
We're listening
Harry
to
T.
the...
came up here,
That's, okay.
went to Blustown, went to Panama City, came to Jackson,
Raising money and membership.
teaching Negroes how to vote and join the NAACP.
Yeah.
When he got back to Mims, Florida, they put dynamite on him.
Yeah, they sure did.
That's the same time you run up and I say trying to run for.
I'm
And
telling
look at you, was more intimidating than he was. He was just trying to get folks arrested.
That's what I am running
Here you
for.
out there trying to run for.
Yeah, I run it all over all those different counties, man, because they had you had to run at large. And so I had to run all those counties in the congressional district here in North Florida.
Do it with do. That was your slogan.
Yeah, we got some. She saw some of my campaign literature.
Yeah.
They said, "Do it with do." But I'm telling you,
All we ask in the South, he said, is the opportunity to take care of this matter and work it out ourselves.
So Dad, for Christmas,
yes.
I gave you a copy of Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, Between the World and Me. And you sat and basically read it from start to finish.
Sure did.
Most of yesterday.
That's right.
And you were electrified.
I sure was.
What was so electrifying to you about this book?
Well, first, I read a similar book like this about 40 years ago, Fire Next Time,
Oh, by James Baldwin.
by James Baldwin.
Yes.
And he was writing to his 15-year-old nephew. And the things that Richard Baldwin said in that book,
James Baldwin.
yes, was so relevant in relation to my understanding of where we were in race relations. And this is right after the 60s and the 70s, during the Black Power movement. Malcolm X was just executed by the FBI. So when this book was given to me, and I saw that this author was doing the same thing,
Yes.
but in relation to what I call the Millennial generation. In other words, our young people who have been born in the 90s or thereafter,
Yes.
and have not been really assimilated in the history of the civil rights movement.
Or you weren't sure they had been.
Oh yeah, I weren't sure because, schools of education is controlled by the state political powers, and they kind of water down stuff that doesn't make America look good. So I was very excited when I read this book, and Mr. Coates was he was very loud in his criticism of America and this psychology as it relates to the continuing problems of racism, but which have taken a different form.
Yes, a very different form. You know, I was telling you earlier today that I feel like my generation, just post-civil rights,
Yeah.
even as aware as we were and as much history as we learned, to a great degree, we believed the walls had come tumbling down.
Right.
Especially those of us who were fortunate enough to be middle class,
Right.
go to college, get jobs with all these diversity positions opening up, you know, feeling sought after. We did not understand the degree to which everyone still had to keep their shoulder to the stone as they roll up the mountain, you know. And it started to roll back on us.
Right.
We didn't even notice. Mass incarceration
That's right.
slowly balloons until it's an international scandal. And a lot of us were still not paying attention because we were too busy judging the people caught up in the criminal justice system.
Right. And he describes different situations as he was maturing to be an adult. He talked about how proud he was to go to Howard University, and he called it the Mecca of the black world.
That's how I felt this moment when I was teaching there.
Yeah. Howard University. At the same time, he talked about the surrounding violence. He talked about Prince George's County, which was an upscale, upper class black neighborhood. And I recall that same county because Patricia, during one of her periods when she was expelled from FAMU, you know, she was expelled several times.
Yes, she was.
You know, the president and the staff had to go through the motions of expelling her. And then after a few months or so, they let her back in the back door.
Right.
But during this period of time, she was going to Howard University. She was taking classes from many of the activist instructors. And when I came to Washington, D.C., I was able to stay with some people in Washington, D.C., but I was able to visit Patricia, who lived in Port George community. So I could see how upscale that was. And then with Coach telling me how a young man who was killed by the police, which is part of the same epidemic that's taken place all over the country.
That's been part of the big wake-up call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Mr. Coates spent, time in his essay to analyze what the present condition of the black community is in the 21st century, I call it. But then he really didn't offer any proposed solutions because when Baldwin wrote his book, I mean, he offered some solutions. He said, well, burn the place down. What makes me so angry, I was part of the process.
Well,
because I was a school desegregation attorney,
This is the part where sometimes you can't see until 30 years later what the
That's right, because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's right, and so now we're facing a new map.
That's
right. And a new reality. It reminds me of the lyrics.
But I need to express what I saw in Dade County.
Okay.
Because I was the attorney in the school desegregation case, and they had no attorneys to represent black parents. And I came boogity, and they were so happy to become the new black attorney in the school desegregation case. I mean, the federal judge was so happy. The Office of Civil Rights was so happy.
Why shouldn't they be happy?
And before I knew it, I was signing off on desegregation of Dade County Public Schools based upon race ratios, which meant that all the black schools, black schools, in order to be integrated, had to represent the racial composition of Dade County, which meant, since the white population was 60% and the black population was less than 30%, that meant that all the black schools had to have a majority, white teachers,
wow,
and white students.
Sometimes,
and what happened, all these famous black schools in the state of Florida, they had such a great history of black intelligence and education, went down the tube.
Well, aren't we seeing that with HBCUs too?
Yes, that's happening there. But before we Tananarive, the only people attending that meeting were the upper class black parents and the white parents that were concerned about the roof on their side of Mays, the Magna Park.
Oh, yeah.
And that included Dr. Brown, none, but the rest were whites. And there was not one black parent, not one black parent from the Mays community. Not one!
Do you think, I don't think this is too much of a stretch, do you think there's a correlation between that sort of learned disempowerment,
yes,
disenfranchisement,
yes,
with the fact that it's so hard to find black survivors at the Dozier schools?
Yes, see, it's the same thing at Dozier.
Yeah.
This black thing means to black people that you're shit, you're nothing, you're doo-doo, you're the devil.
Or you can
and black people believe that.
You can try it.
They believe it.
Yeah.
They believe it. I saw that soon as they were put in contact with these other parents, all that self-esteem they used to have, you know, at Mays as being one of the best black schools in Dade County.
A stranger in a strange land.
It completely collapsed.
Yeah, I know.
All the black parents lost confidence in their schools and in themselves. And, of course, the do-girls are something else.
Well, we had great parents, you know.
Yeah, the do-girls had no occasion to feel inferior about themselves.
We had Patricia Stevens Dew.
That's right.
And John B. Dew Jr.
Now,
with history and stories. And
the white community in South Dade was very angry that you kids went to that school in West Orion. Moton. Because they was going to tear down Moton so that all children would go west of US 1 to go to the white schools.
Well, Moton was the best experience I'd had up to that point.
You had a revolutionary principal.
Yes, I did. Maiden S. Bullard.
Yeah, she had the courage to fight downtown, and that includes a black superintendent.
Yeah.
Because the power structure of Dade County, including Negroes,
and don't forget,
they're supposed to shut down that school.
But
and
who else did she have?
Here the Do Girls and Patricia were going into that school.
PTA president Patricia Stevens Dew.
That's right, and she was the president of the PTA.
And that school is still open to this day.
She had to fight black people.
Wow.
Black people who were part of the power structure, who had this understanding with the white power structure. What is occurring? People today who are literate know how power is applied based upon money and politics. All this stuff about race ain't nothing except a means to disempower people and to exploit them or to kill them.
Right.
There is only one race.
Human.
The human race.
True. But when you
how do we live that?
When you try to live that,
I'm working with Sheriff Morris Young. we have found a way to live with this condition. It's called restorative justice, based upon Bishop Tutu's work in South Africa. They were all fighting and contending for political power. So what Bishop Tutu instituted was restorative justice. Yeah, let us have a system where we can admit our problems. Let us have a judicial system where we can understand our problems, but invite the people that you heard injured to be part of the process. Let this be a community process so that we can have truth and reconciliation, so that we can really move forward into the future.
So he's working to bridge those.
Damn right. Admit that people organize according to the game mode. We have the new Black Panther Party. You have the Aryans, ARYANs.
Right.
Then you have the Latino Kings.
Right.
And so what Marcion is saying, instead of fighting each other, let us work another way of trying to overcome this mess. This system.
I think that says, I think right now, whether this translates into caucus votes, we have yet to see. But I still think the phenomenon is there.
It is really dark out here at night. This is dark. Not a light, barely a light in sight. There's the house. There's the dark. Come on. Let's go. It's dark out here.
Hold up.
Hold on one second. Hello?
Bring some coffee.
Hi, Minister Thomas.
Bring some coffee.
Yes, I can. It's Minister Thomas. Okay, well, Dad is asking if you can bring him some coffee as well. Okay, great. Okay, he'll also get the newspaper. Okay, bye-bye. I know you like your daily Tallahassee Democrat.
Mm-hmm. And what has happened, Tananarive, is that our upper black middle class, because of immigration, they have left the hood. They have gone into the suburbs.
Yeah.
And have abandoned the rest of the black community.
I think that was a big contributing factor to the growth of mass incarceration. That community, that our middle class black community, that was not as affected by discrimination in law enforcement, was very quick to judge the behavior of those left behind.
Exactly.
Blaming the victim in most senses for the rising prison numbers. It's almost like you scatter to the winds, okay? Everything blows in different directions. And that was my generation. We were the generation of scattering to the winds. We believed we were free. We believed the walls had come tumbling down. And then we realized we weren't free. Even if you had that good job, you were reaching a glass ceiling. Even if you got into that, predominantly white university, you realize you had a different set of what they call now microaggressions against you on a daily basis. And now, I think in large part because of social media, all of those elements of the community that scatter to the wind are starting to solidify again, not in a neighborhood, not in a physical place, but on the internet.
Exactly.
A community on the internet.
That's the only way they can communicate now.
And even from all of our separate corners, we're realizing we're facing the same problems. I may be college educated, raising my son in a so-called good neighborhood, but if he gets stopped by a police officer, like Trayvon Martin, and not even a police officer, a vigilante, like Trayvon Martin visiting his own family in his own neighborhood, then we are, and I think that was a big wake-up call to a lot of us.
Oh, Tananarive, I was so happy when you were invited to come to Selma College.
Ooh, me too.
To be over the college chair because I saw that as an opportunity since my wife had passed to stay in Atlanta. And while you were in Atlanta, I could work in the Atlanta community, which was the headquarters for SNCC.
But it's not like it was.
Exactly.
It's not like it's not a physical place anymore.
Right.
We just lost Dr. Robert Haling, the great civil rights activist from St. Augustine. And Dr. Haling came to what we call the gathering, that civil rights gathering that we held in Miami. A lot of the great activists were there that you and Mom knew from the movement in the 60s. And the thing that I remember most about that is that everybody seemed so glum. You know, as they were advancing in years, there was this sort of pessimism about where we were headed. That as a younger person, because I was still sort of in that bright-eyed, you know, post-civil rights generation, I was like, what are you talking about? Things are so much better. Now I have a better understanding of what people were glum about, but you don't get glum.
No.
And I think you have not only do you have a great optimism and great humor, but you have lived long enough to see the election of a Barack Obama, whatever limitations that had included in there. You saw that, but even more than that, this millennial generation, the Black Lives Matter movement, the Dream Defenders, who came to this very house
That's right.
to plant the seeds that would become that organization.
That's right. I left their papers on my wall just a few weeks ago, you know. Removed them, you know, so we can put all this other stuff up.
So you have a unique ability to have one foot in the past and one foot in the future.
Yeah, now, and this is why the Dozier school is very critical. Because we have to use the Dozier school story as a lesson plan to show that the problem is not just a problem of race or coming to color, but it is a problem of the human race. And the conflict we have in our Christian law, nonviolence, institutionalized nonviolence and love based upon Gandhi and King. Okay.
Oh, there's Minister Thomas.
And therefore, that's going to be our future.
All right, give me a hug.
All right.
Thank you.
Now I want you to look at my
You
note
can email
here.
that to me. He's always
I've already
sending emails every day.
I have already emailed this to
All
you.
right.
Now let's continue to talk about that. I will be talking about James
Bye-bye,
Chaney.
Sassy.
James Chaney.
But you are in good hands with Minister Thomas and Mrs. Thomas. So, no, this is a video. This isn't a picture.
Oh, good.
All right. So, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, look at that. Bye. He
Hope you enjoyed your
says.
stay and we enjoyed your
That was a very manly goodbye, Dad. Thank you. Thank you.
The issue we're here today is, of course, about the heroes and the sheroes in Macomb, Mississippi. But beyond that, the issue and the story I'm concerned and I want to relate to you is how important they were to the total picture of what Bob Moses was back in 1964, based upon this image of what Mississippi was. In 1964, this was a point in the calendar of the civil rights movement that began basically when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat. But it is part of the rebellion, the revolution, particularly by young people, just like you in the audience, not much older, young people just like my wife, Patricia Stevens, do, somehow were compelled by some spirit, which we in the movement call the freedom spirit, to resist and overcome culture and civilization relating to racism and discrimination. By 1962-63, the movement had moved beyond the sit-ins, the freedom rides, direct attacks against symbols of discrimination such as the restaurants and the movie theaters. And then the freedom rides offered an opportunity to take the movement one step forward because it was arranged by the power structure that all the freedom rides would end in Mississippi and Parchman Prison. Now this was critically important for the movement because it provided an opportunity to